So now that we've finished carving our Fuji, we're going to start in on the ska. I just wanted to go over the process quickly on paper first. To start off with, traditional skas are made of two pieces of matched wood with a seam in the middle, and then they just carved out space for the tang, half on one side, half on the other. We're not going to be using this method, and we're actually going to be using what I like to call a box method, where we've got three pieces, one on either side, and then just a U-shaped piece in the middle. And the reason for that is because it's actually simpler than this, because of the way we're using it. We're using three, quarter-inch pieces of wood, which we've been using, so that we're closer to the final shape of three. It's going to be a little less than 3/4 thick, but this is the way we're a little bit closer. If we did it this way, we'd have to use 4 pieces wide to get that central seam, or we'd have to cut one of these pieces in half, which is a pain in the neck. So for simplicity's sake, we're going to be using the box method. Now, the box method actually looks like the overall shape that we're looking for. The only thing is that, of course, we've got 2 seams instead of just 1, but it also leaves this square-shaped hole for the tang, as opposed to a tang shape, which we find in the seppa and on the suba. And I'll show you how to fix that. If you don't find that appealing, I'll show you how to fix that in just a moment. From just another view, you can see we've got, for this box method, we've got 3 pieces. We've got the outsides, which are just blank pieces of wood, and we've got this U piece right here in the middle with a place cut out for the tang. So that gives us a nice fit for the tang, and then just like I said, it's a very simple construction process. Now, if you don't like that square shape, and you'd rather have a tang shape for the top of your ska, what you can do is you can make a cap. Essentially all you're doing is making another seppa, which are fairly quick to go. But all you're doing is that way you've got a nice tang-shaped hole in the top, and it looks a little bit nicer. The only thing you have to remember is that, one, the top of your ska is actually going to be recessed into your fuji, so this may not matter all that much to you with that knowledge. The other thing you need to remember is that if you want to look good even when it's disassembled, is that if you add a thickness of a cap to the top, because we already know the thickness, or the length of the ska, if you add any material to the top, you're going to have to remove it from the bottom. And that's so that we keep that measurement that we figured out in the measurements in the equations that I showed you in the primer video. So if you add any thickness to the top of the ska, you need to remove that same equal thickness from the bottom. So to kind of give you an idea of what that's going to look like, how to get that U shape drawn out, you need your katana with all the fittings except for the fuchi on it. So that's the habaki, both seppa, and the suba. And you need your piece of 1/4-inch wood. You're going to need at least 9 1/4 inch pieces of wood. You might as well just cut a 10-inch long piece of wood, and that way you have enough. But then you just want to take it and line it right up there with your seppa, and then you're just going to trace around your tang all the way around. Remember that you want to leave the end of your tang, you want to make sure that you just slide this in a little bit so that you're not have this end of the tang close to the edge like that. Otherwise you're not going to have enough room to complete the U shape. So you need to make sure it's in far enough so that you can get, an actual thickness on the outside as well. Once you've done that, you're going to take your fuji and slide it up there on the tang. And you're just going to line it right back up with how you had it, putting the tang in the bottom and just lining that up. You need to do some marking now. The first line you want to mark is this matched line right here where we glued the 2 pieces of the fuji together. You're just going to draw that line out both sides. The reason for that is because there's actually no wood there. That's the solid part of the fuji, so it's not going to be recessed in there at all. So that's going to be cut away afterwards. And then just mark down here so you know where the recess is going to start. This whole piece is going to be recessed from here on in. It's going to be recessed into the fuji. And then the last thing you need to mark is the inside of your fuji. So not the outside edges, but the inside edges. So that's right inside here and right inside this side. So you're just going to line it up and just make sure that you mark the inside there and inside there. Might be nice to give yourself a little bit of extra room, and then you can carve it into shape, and that might, if you feel a little bit nervous that you're going to cut it too small, you can do it that way. And then all you're going to do is, I just freehanded the line, but you want to do this in a little more accurate method. But then you just draw that line that you marked for the inside of the fuchi, and you just want to draw it all the way around the outline of your tang. And again, if you're using 1/4 inch Ito like I am, you're going to need 9 1/4 inches from where we're going to be cutting off the top here. So 9 1/4 from this line down to the bottom of your ska. And now you can see I've got a little bit of extra, but that's 9 1/4 inch because the final length of our ska. So once you've cut out your U shape, you're actually going to take it and line it, put it on another piece of wood and trace around that, and that'll be one outside piece, and then do it again, that'll be 2 outside pieces. Then you're going to glue them together. You can see here I've already started a ska, and you can see, like I said, you've got the 2 pieces, excuse me, the 3 pieces here. You've got the inside and you've got the 2 outside pieces. And you can see I've started shaping down this taper all the way down so that it matches the shape of my tang. But then once you've got, as you're gluing these 3 pieces together, there's a couple things you need to keep in mind. The first is, once you've cut out this inside tang shape, you want to make sure that this inside edge of this U shape is nice and smooth, because you're not going to get a second chance to get at this to smooth it out. So after you've glued it, you're not going to get back in here. So you want to make sure that the inside here is nice and smooth on all the sides. So on the inside of the pieces, everything on the inside here should be nice and smooth. And like I said, if you don't and you leave any jagged edges or any rough parts, it'll ruin the finish that you put on your tang, whatever that might be. So just make sure that the inside is nice and smooth, because you're not going to be able to get back in there once you've glued it all together. Another thing to keep in mind, that when you're gluing it together, you want to make sure that once you put the glue on, you can still slide the tang in and out fairly easily. That's also to make sure that if you slide, if you slide your tang in and out a few times, that helps to eliminate any of the glue buildup that might be in there. Like, if any glue oozes in there, if you're not careful with your gluing, at least putting the tang in and out a few times will smooth out that glue, so you don't have a big lump of glue, which will again, scratch any finish that you've put on your tang. The other thing you want to remember is that once you've put that in there, just to make sure that it fits nice and tidy, please remember to remove the tang from your ska before the glue dries, because the last thing you want to do is glue your tang inside your ska. You'll feel a little silly and you'll be grumpy at yourself, and you'll have to break it open. So it's just bad all around. Remember to remove your tang and don't let the glue dry with your tang inside your ska. So once you've done that and it's all glued together, what you're going to do is you're going to slide it up on your tang, and you're just going to try and take your knife and carve it so that just this front edge, just focus on this first edge here, this one side. Try and make sure that it fits just barely inside the fuchi, because like I said, that's where it's going to be recessed. And then just make sure that you can kind of shape down the top half and the sides of this. You can see this is not a 1/4 inch any longer, because I've shaved that down so it would all fit and have a nice even line all the way down. But just make sure that what you're going for is a nice even gap all the way around. You can see that right here is fairly good. You just want to leave enough of a gap so that once paint and your finish is on this ska, that it'll still slide in and out of your fuchi fairly easily without wiggling. So once you've got this nice and carved out so it fits nice inside your fuchi, you'll have a nice profile shape on the end of it, like I've got here. And then all you're going to do is you're going to keep that profile, this overall shape, and carry it all the way throughout. So take your wraps and round your edges over so that it all matches this side here. And that way you'll have this nice smooth ska of an equal proportion all the way down. You get this nice profile all the way down it, and it'll look really good. Once you're all done with that, you're just going to put it on. And like I said, it should slide nice and easily into your fuchi and back out. And then you're done with your ska. Next we're going to be moving on to the kashira. The kashira is very similar in construction, almost exactly like the fuchi. We're just going to do a few different things to it, but we'll cover that in the next bit.